Jesus,
Oh, I'm sorry.
do you know if Jesus will be joining us?
I'm not sure. I haven't heard from him tonight.
Okay. Wait another minute or so.
Where are you going?
Carolyn is calling. Hang on a second. Hi, Carolyn.
Andy, do you want to email that woman? Did you notice that woman emailed earlier?
Yes, I sent them.
Oh, you did send
them
her the link?
both, the links,
Okay.
but the applicant for MGM is here if you wanted to move them up to the beginning. And
Yeah, we'll see what the chair wants to do.
You gotta sit down and be quiet, okay?
So that was Carolyn. She's having difficulties getting through, so she's going to try again. Why don't we get started anyway? Welcome to the January 19th, 2022 Planning Board meeting for the town of Ossining. And I'd like to start introducing members of the board, consultants, and the staff. So in the order, you're on my screen. Sandy, would you like to start?
Sandy Anelli, secretary to the planning board.
Jim?
Jim Bacinas, planning board member.
Kathy?
Kathy Zalantis, planning board attorney.
Valerie?
Valerie Menastra, town planner.
Margaret?
Margaret Kahn, secretary.
Donna?
Donna Sharrett, planning board member.
Dan?
Nancy Arcia, consulting engineer of the planning board.
And I'm Gareth Huffam, chair of the planning board. And Carolyn will be joining us when she can. So tonight, the first item on the agenda is Borrego Solar. Is a representative from Borrego on?
Yes, hi, this is Karina Solis from Borrego.
Hello, Karina. Thank you
Hi.
for joining. Do you want to give an introduction to your presentation?
Sure. So, hi, my name is Karina Solis, and I'm a project developer at Borrego. This is an energy storage project. It's a 4 megawatt, 16 megawatt hour system, and it's going to be installed at the St. Augustine Church property way in the back near the Hudson River. And we previously submitted an application for approval for this location and for this project. and have since made some small amendments to the design. And it includes, adding a little bit of extra space for future augmentation, moving a little bit of the utility equipment, just the location has changed just within a couple feet, but it has changed. And we updated our stormwater design. I don't have a specific presentation, but I hope that will summarize.
Yeah, I think we got a pretty good view of it at the last meeting, and we got the final plan. Consultants, do you have any comments? Kathy,
No.
Valerie?
No, except that I did provide the board a draft resolution for your consideration. And I think you had a couple comments, Gareth, that we can go through with the applicant.
Okay. So, so I have a comment based on that conversation, but let's get comments from the rest of the board first. It might cover it anyway. Anyone from the board have comments on the resolution or any other aspect of this plan?
Not at this time.
Donna?
Yeah, I have a few comments, not specifically, well, I do have a comment about the resolution, just that it would be clearer about the lighting. We usually, ask that it be below. Jim, you're the expert on this one. You always have it. Like, what is it we usually ask for with the lights?
I mean, I think ideally we're looking for that soft white, and it's about 2,700 Kelvin or less.
Right. So, or a yellow light. I know that they are, the technology is changing, so it'd be great if it was phrased in some way that would allow room for future if it went to yellow, because yellow's better for the wildlife, and it is right by all those bees, so we don't want to make them upset.
That's as close to incandescent as you're going to get.
Right.
I believe the applicant at some point in time, and this is why I wanted to have this discussion, there was a discussion earlier in the application process dealing with the lights. And I'm not so sure if, I believe there was a discussion that it wasn't going to be able to be motion censored and the lights were going to be specifically only for security and they were going to be low. So I thought maybe it'd be good to kind of talk through the lighting scheme again with the applicant, just to make sure that that condition would actually work for that site.
Okay, I had thought that I had remembered that motion control was agreed to. Am I wrong about that? Karina, do you know?
I don't have that information offhand.
Okay.
That would mean that the lights would be on all the time, and every night. Is that's what you're thinking, Valerie?
So I thought there was, if I recall, and I mean, I can try to look at the plans. I thought there was a discussion or concern with the way the lighting was. It was supposed to be specifically for security, and it wasn't going to be, it was going to be low to the ground. And I think, and it was very little lighting. And I thought the board was fine with what was proposed, as opposed to putting conditions. So, I mean, if we want, we can, if you want to pass the resolution with your condition in there, and then if we find, if the applicant provides us evidence otherwise.
It may download itself.
Hang on a second. Carolyn, could you, hi, welcome. But could you go on mute for the time being?
I actually can't. I'll stop trying. I'll stop trying to figure this out with my husband, but I'm not getting the picture or the screen. All I have is the audio.
Okay, that should do anyway. So welcome to the meeting, Carolyn. Carolyn Stevens on the board. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, Valerie.
No, so I was just going to say an option is you could adopt the resolution with that condition and then allow for the applicant to provide additional information if for some reason that particular condition would not work with what they're proposing on that site.
Okay, I like that. If we could ask then for yellow light and being on motion control only, and see if we can get agreement on that.
Okay,
Yeah, so my concern is that if they don't, so when this leaves and it goes into the building department, and then if he says that the lights have to stay on, and even if we say they haven't had to stay on, I just want to make sure that the lights are going to be like the, least offensive to that dark wildlife area there. So if that somehow can be expressed so that it's not just the intention for motion detectors, that there's actually a reason that it's being done. Because that will be disruptive. I think they've got like, what, 12 beehives back there?
So right now you'd be contemplating passing the resolution with the condition. If the applicant has an issue with that, they're going to come back and seek to amend the resolution, right? So
Yeah.
further action by the planning board.
I'm in agreement if they, if that's written and they agree to that, or, I mean.
Now that if that's.
What are you asking? I'm not sure.
I'm just clarifying that is going to be a condition of this resolution. So you would have to reconsider annulling that condition if the applicant presents something that the applicant objects to that. We'd have to amend that resolution. So that's, your language is a language that's going to stand right now.
Okay, so Gareth, how do you feel about that? I'm not really sure.
So I think that works. If we ask for what we just did, as you stated it, and as a condition for approval of the resolution, and then if Borrego comes back, and or if our own building inspector comes back and says, "Oh no, that doesn't work," then we can amend it at the next meeting. That's pretty much how you would see it happening, right, Kathy and Valerie?
right.
Have to take some further action to amend that condition.
Okay, so do you want, let's agree
Yeah,
on.
and just for
language.
clarification, I did find something right now that said that the applicant said there'd be no continuous lighting for the system or parking lot, that the battery containers contain two 18-watt LED switch controlled lights on opposite sides of the battery container, and the external pad will contain a single dark sky compliant light. All fixtures are low incident angles to reduce light pollution to the abutting properties. And that's what I recall this board okaying and moving forward with that. Now, again, we can put this condition in there, but I do remember that conversation taking place, and I do remember the applicant responding, and that's what I have in my notes as their response.
Kathy, Valerie, could you tell me what they mean by low? Is it indicated on there? Is it like, one of those?
That was just in my memo. I'd have to take a look at what they submitted. But I recall that being a discussion at some point in time with this board. So again, I'm happy to put that condition in there, but I just wanted to kind of, raise that to your attention, that I know that this was discussed. There was a specific lighting plan associated with this in terms of it being very minimal, and the board was satisfactory with what was submitted. But we can, again, add these conditions. We'll go back to the applicant to see if they're fine with those additional conditions.
Yeah, and I'm definitely interested in like how low is low. What does that mean? Is it?
Well, I know that was I'm not putting work. That's what it was in my memo from what they submitted. So I would have to look at the what's in the record and pull up their plans.
Okay.
Or we can have the applicant come next month to talk about it. So. Yeah. So if I can just add, I did actually get some information. We are designing them to be motion censored, which aligns with Valerie's notes. And then we originally had warm light that would be less than 3,500 Kelvin.
I think we would want it warmer than that, like 27, as Jim mentioned, would be certainly better.
It depends on the light fixture. There are times where you can't get a certain fixture, it could be 3,000. And in the past, we've said 3,000, but in the past, when we've said 3,000 and they did that, there have been some people that thought that was still a little bit too harsh. So closer to 2,700 is probably best, but some fixtures don't allow for that. So it really depends on the fixture.
And that, are we referring to there the motion controlled lights or the single one that Valerie, you said would be within the fencing and continuous? That is, am I understanding correctly what you read? That single bulb was going to be, they wanted it to be continuous?
Yeah, let me see if I can try. Let me see if I can try to find that information. Give me a second.
Karina, did you mean that the light outside was a motion detector, motion sensor? Karina?
Yes, yeah, so they wouldn't be continuous.
So that's the one light, right?
Somehow I thought there were outer lights and then a light within, other than the panel LEDs, which, you know, I think are so low that we don't have to worry about.
So I have a letter from PV Engineers that was submitted on behalf of the applicant back in October of 2020. And it specifically says the battery containers contain two 18-watt LED switch controlled lights, and the external pad will contain a single dark light compliant light. All fixtures are at low incident angles to reduce light pollution to abutting properties. And that's the information that we have.
Okay, so that one sounds like it was the motion controlled one. Karina, is that right? And you're saying that your understanding is that it could be motion controlled?
The outer ones,
Right,
is your question?
the outer panel.
Yeah, I might be able to get some information on like the inner lights just to clarify if they're motion sensor.
Inner lights are on a switch, right? Like that, I don't think that's of concern to us.
Yeah, the 18 watters, yeah, probably are not of concern. Although 18 watts on of LED, that might be a lot of light. I mean, we think of 18 watts in the incandescent world as being pretty dim, but 18 watts with an LED, I don't know. But if it's just a switch light, that's got to be pretty low, I would think.
So you're looking into that, Karina? Because I
Yeah.
have a couple other comments if you want me to go on.
Sure.
Is that okay? So it's just in the planting notes. So it'd be really great if, I don't know if my board colleagues would agree to this, but at some point, I think that it would be really great to like kind of come up with acceptable, like a standard plan and then offer it to applicants, because they all come up with these different planting plans and they're all, there's all things that are, that should not be. So first of all, you have on the plan that there's going to be fertilizer when you're planting the grass in that area, and there should definitely not be fertilizer. This is there's a wetland and it's a stormwater area, and that water is just going to go right over the cliff towards the Hudson River. So there should be no fertilizer in the lawn area.
Okay, that
The
shouldn't be an
planting notes.
issue. Okay.
That's something I would be really strongly opposed to. It's totally unnecessary anyway, but it's the environmental impact is really high on that. Also, last time when I think Greg was here, so I don't know if they updated the site plan, but I had mentioned that where the illustration of the typical deciduous tree planting, that root ball should be right on the undisturbed subgrade. So that doesn't look like that was changed. It should be handled the same as the evergreen and the shrubs.
Okay.
Yeah, and he said that was like an oversight, but it just doesn't seem like, I just want to make sure that gets changed. On the planting notes, on number 5, All planting areas should receive clean topsoil compost mix as necessary. It doesn't make any sense that you'd be dumping a lot of soil there unless you needed it. And then the planting holes should be no deeper than the depth of the root ball, which is exactly what I just said with the deciduous tree. Like they're saying there that they're putting 12 inches, they're digging down and putting 12 inches of this new soil and then putting the trees in it. That makes no sense. So can that be changed?
So
I mean, I'm not
Donna,
sure where this came from.
can we,
Number 5 on the planting notes?
yeah, so can we have, are these going to be, because if you're asking for new plans, then
No, I'm just wondering, can they just amend these and we can vote based on the amendments that were like the changes here? I mean, I don't want to hold them up, but this is just what they're proposing.
so
is-
I think I'm gonna need something written because I'm getting little snippets of this.
Okay.
As
Okay.
opposed to actually having something to.
Right.
So I mean, if the board wants to vote on this, it would have to be, you know, contingent, maybe these become for final site plan for signature for the planning board chair.
I mean, I think there would have to be a new plan submitted
Yeah.
that has these revised notes on it. And
Right.
the plan that would be ultimately signed, you know, as part of that plan
So
set.
we could vote today to approve it based on these changes, correct?
So,
I don't want to hold it up, but would that be acceptable?
I mean, I think that's fine. It's just, I'm gonna need you to
Right.
send me something in
Okay.
writing so that we can actually work it into the resolution.
Okay.
Because my notes are not gonna be as nearly as detailed or correct for what exactly you're looking for.
Yeah, there's because it's on three of the notes. It'd be, yeah. Okay.
So, right, so we're gonna probably wanna make sure that the notes are identified as well as the plan that needs to get changed.
Okay, yeah, it's the landscaping plan with the planting notes. I certainly, it's like 3 sentences, so I would certainly be willing to send that to you tonight. So number 6, just so everybody knows what I'm talking about, is they're talking about putting mulch down, like 3 inches of mulch, and they should not have that near the trunk of the trees and branches of the shrubs. It should not be near the plants at all. And then number 9B, they have that they're going to prune and then they're going to treat the prune areas. That's something that hasn't been done in like 30 years. It's not an acceptable practice. So that was it. And the fertilizer.
so Karina, does that sound, do those changes sound good?
Yeah, I think they sound great. So if I can just repeat them, I was trying to take some
Sure.
notes. So you had on here to take out the fertilizer and the planting notes. Was that your first one? Or
Yes.
Did I miss? Okay.
Yes.
And then to use the same type of, or to have the same note for the deciduous tree on where the root ball should be planted, to make that amendment.
The same note as the evergreen, right? That they should be planted the same way. Right. That's in the little drawing there.
Okay. I think I actually missed your third point. The next one I have is that the 3 inches of mulch should not be near the trees. But I think
The
there's
tree
another
trunks, right? Should not touch the tree trunks. So the one before that is the number 5. So that the mulch is number 6. Your planting note number 6. Number 5, it talks about bringing in like a massive amount of soil, including, I believe it says 12, that'll be 12 inches underneath the root balls of the plantings. So that's just not necessary and actually not good practice. So I mean, obviously, if you need some soil, so I was thinking if you just said all planting areas to receive clean, should have that word clean, topsoil and compost mixed as necessary, instead of saying that you're just going to dump a whole bunch of topsoil everywhere.
Okay, that's
And the planting holes should be no deeper than the depth of the root ball, which is what it says in the other area. So that would just be repeating. And I'll definitely write this down. mean, I have it written down, but I'll type it up.
Okay, and then you had one last one, which was
It's
about the pruning.
9B, where it talks about removing dead branches. And then it says all pruned areas would be treated. So that it actually what should be removed is where it says treat pruned areas or other wounds. The only tree you do that is on an oak tree, and you're not planting any oak trees. So,
Got it.
and that's because there's a disease. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, I think that those are all minor, reasonable notes. So I don't have any issue with them.
Okay. So
You also
that's it.
got the
That's
lighting.
it for me.
Karina, you also got the lighting.
The
Changes.
27,000. Sorry,
And,
2,700 Kelvin.
Right, and anything external motion control, if that is acceptable.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else from the board? Carolyn?
No.
Okay. Anything, Dan, do you have anything?
Yeah, I'm pretty much all set with this. The last SWIP covered my issues. So we'll just, I guess our final thing will be, we'll provide the building inspector with a report so he can provide the applicant with the SWIP acceptance form. And while I'm looking at it, on page 1, there was a typo I noticed in the last paragraph. So you'll see if you take a look at it, Val. It's just a simple typo.
That's in the resolution or the
Yeah,
SWIP?
in the resolution.
Okay. Oh, ending with and? Yeah. Okay, thank you. This is a public hearing, so is there anyone on the Zoom call who would like to say anything about this application? Hearing none, and if there's nothing else from anyone else, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Do I hear?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
And Jim, how do you vote?
Yes.
Donna?
Yes.
Carolyn?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. And I would take a motion to approve the resolution with the changes that we have discussed, contingent upon the changes we've discussed.
I make the motion.
Second.
Okay, Jim, how do you vote?
Yes.
Donna?
Yes.
Carolyn?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. And I think if there's nothing else, I think that does it. Karina, you have any final parting thoughts, or you're good to go?
No, I just would be interested to get a copy of the typed up contingencies, but thank you. I really appreciate you guys passing this today.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Good night. Next on the agenda is the MGM application for the subdivision at 5 Hawks Avenue. Is the applicant here?
Yes, I'm Ed Jamola speaking from MGM Group, and this has been an ongoing project for a long time, not due to any problems from the boards, but just life in general. We got a notice that the approval had expired and we can't extend it any longer, but we'd have to renotice it and open a public hearing, which according to Kathy Zelantis, it could be done at the next meeting. And we would hope that could be done so we could finally get the project approved. So I'm making
I think what I said to your engineer was that we couldn't just grant a retroactive extension of the approval because the approval had expired. But assuming that there's been no significant changes or no changes to the plan and everything was the same, I could see that the planning board could be in a position to grant a reapproval if you noticed it, and it could be done at one meeting, but we'd want to hear a little details from you about how nothing has changed with the plan, because we don't anticipate there's been any changes or there has not been any changes to the law. So assuming everything is the same, it could be actually reapproved if the board, would accept that at the next meeting, that it could be done in one meeting. But we would have to, would have to be renoticed, and unfortunately could not just be a retroactive extension.
Okay, I understand that. That's no problem. The last thing we had done, which is quite a while ago, is we tried, there was a note from the DOT that we had to trim trees on Hawks Avenue. That was the last thing, or last one of the comments that were done. That was done a while ago. We had that done, and I believe that was inspected. So I believe that everything else was, we had satisfied all the other comments along the way.
Ed, did I hear that there was a holdup with your getting Board of Health approvals, or is that completely wrong? Or what was the delay? I'm curious.
Yeah, I think that was part of it, but I'm not sure what that was for. We had test holes done a while ago, and that was inspected. There was somebody from the planning board to do that. And there was somebody that also, I think she was a tree expert. She had looked at everything else, and the only comment that could come up was the trimming of trees.
We need the health department.
So the health department approval would be required then, still.
So it's been a while since we looked at this project. So remind me, it is a septic system project then?
Yes.
Okay. But you did finally get the septic system Board of Health approval?
Yes, we did. We had the holes dug, everything was done, inspected, and somebody from the town had come out. I believe that was approved, or at least it was inspected by the county and by your board, a member on your board. I don't remember.
I was out there. That was for the stormwater. I'm pretty sure you're on sewer.
Okay. It's been a long time, so I can't remember that either.
Yeah, I think you're on public sewer. We dug the holes for the storm.
That feels a lot better, yeah. Because
Yeah.
I was thinking septic in that low, floodplain. So good. If it's on sewer, I feel a lot better about it.
Yeah. No, I don't know for what reason that there were test holes done, and I'm not sure.
No, it was for the stormwater,
Yeah, okay.
for the stormwater practices.
My mistake.
All right. So, yeah, I think, I think the plan that Valerie and Kathy have prescribed makes sense. Just, resubmit, and we will, try to do an expedited review just to convince ourselves that everything's, the same. And we will try to not hold you up. And it does have to be public hearing and public noticed. So, we can't do it tonight, but we could do it next meeting, presumably, if the rest of the board is agreeable to that.
Well, we appreciate that.
May not be
Valerie, do we
sufficient
have to take
time.
any action, or Kathy, do we have to take any action on this now, or is this
So
like
I
deny a request for
mean,
the extension?
yes, because currently there's a pending request for the retroactive extension, so you may just want to deny that request.
Okay.
Because it's already expired, but I may not be enough time for the next planning board meeting. It may, Sandy was gonna, I think,
Okay.
also.
Yep, it would probably be on the February 16th. the second meeting in February for a hearing.
Thank you.
Okay, so do I have a motion from the board to deny the application for the 4 retroactive extensions?
So move.
Second,
Jim, how do you vote?
Yes.
Donna,
yes.
Carolyn?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. And so we look forward to your resubmitting as soon as possible, and we'll get you on, what was that, the 17th? Oh, the
16th.
February 16th, yeah.
16.
Okay.
Can I just ask a technical question because I wasn't part of this? So when you're saying resubmit, they're going to resubmit like all their plans again? Is that what they're doing?
Basically, it's like
Yeah.
starting a new process, but you know, with the exception of you, Donna, if you weren't on here, we could anticipate a fairly quick review, but of course it's, you know, you are welcome to, you know.
Well, I'd like to see
your
the,
independent
if
comments.
I could also see what the resolution that was passed, so I know what was passed.
Yeah,
If-
Sandy, can you get all of that? Good, and maybe the plan.
Yes, I
So
sent
I
everybody
think
a copy.
I want to just, I think Kathy and I, you know, I think that the plan is for the record to have them resubmit so that they can move forward with the project, because instead of going back towards, you know, the site plan itself expired. I don't think we're anticipating opening it up for a complete new review at this point in time,
Right.
unless,
Contingent upon the applicant just explaining to the board that there's been no change in circumstances. So, I mean, you should be prepared to address that at the meeting, and just, because I understand that the delay is not your own making, and that it's just, you know, the delay with getting additional approvals from other agencies, but you know, and the project's basically in the same position it was when the planning board approved it. So with all those conditions that it approved it with. So you should be prepared to just adjust that with the plan.
So,
and if that's the case, like Valerie said, we don't anticipate opening up a brand new review because we've already essentially granted this approval. This would just be a reapproval, assuming everything is still the same. We already went through an extensive review with this.
mhm. It's my understanding that if there are minor tweaks, that would be acceptable. But I agree, we don't want to belabor it and burden the applicant with anything significant. And it would be good for the board to get copies of the resolution and the plans again, so that you know, we can review it before that meeting, so that we know what we're reapproving. So with that, Ed, does that sound acceptable to you?
That sounds fine. I appreciate it.
Okay. Valerie, Kathy, anything more on that?
Nothing further.
nope.
Okay. I guess that's it then. So thank you very much, Ed, and we look forward to seeing you at on the 16th of February.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Good night. We have, if there's nothing else, we have 3 minutes to approve, to accept into the record. Has everyone read the November 3rd minutes?
Yes.
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 And does anyone, great. Do I have a motion to approve?
So
I'll make that
moved.
motion. Oops, I'll second.
Okay. Donna, how do you vote?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Carolyn?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. November 3rd is approved. Next is November 17th. Do I have a motion to approve?
Yes.
I'll make, the
Okay, I'll second.
I'll make the motion.
Great.
You second.
Okay. And Jim, how do you vote?
Yes.
Donna,
Yes,
Carolyn,
Yes,
and I vote yes as well. And then we have December 15th. Do I have a motion to approve?
yes, so move.
second.
And Jim, how do you vote?
Yes.
Donna
Yes,
and Carolyn,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. And I think if no one else has anything that might,
I just have one comment. So
Go ahead.
it's related to like when Valerie did the best practices for best planting practices, which gave like the choices of plant materials and all. Would it be of interest to even entertain the idea of having something similar done? Maybe Valerie could facilitate having planting notes that would be like a standardized planting notes that could be, obviously we couldn't force anyone to use them, but perhaps if we had something that was standardized, several of the applicants might just take that and use it. And because every single planting plan that's come in has had something that's like just really bizarre in it. And that's not good practice. And I mean, the goal is to have these plantings succeed. So I think it just seems like it would be easy for the applicants, and then you know, it would take out all of that layer of discussion for the people that chose to use it. Any comments?
Valerie, how would we get something like that implemented?
I mean, so that's something that we can do. We can develop the best practices. The landscape ecologist that has reviewed a few of your landscape plans could probably assist, and I'm sure Donna has some thoughts on best practices.
Well, I definitely don't want the cages.
Just guessing on that one.
Yeah, the cages and the root cages, like just bizarre. Like you would never, like a root system is as complicated and complex and as massive as the above ground portion of the tree. And you would never put the above ground, you would never plant the above portion of the tree in a cage, and yet people plant the root systems in a cage. It's just, I don't know how this stuff started, but in any case, I'm stepping off the soapbox.
So Donna, I don't want to burden you with it, but would you be willing to work directly?
I would look at it. I don't have
colleague?
the time to, quite truthfully, to be doing that. And I think that Valerie's person seems, the person that worked with us before was really more than qualified. And I think that it's probably something they actually have, like at the ready.
Let me ask this. If he provided something, wrote something and provided it to you to review, would you be able to do that?
Sure, I would review it, but I
Okay.
gotta say, he's probably more qualified than me. So I want to just make sure everyone knows that I know that. So,
Okay, Valerie, can we do that?
Sure, that's not a problem.
Okay, great. Because if we could get a standardized set of best practices for that and somehow get it to every applicant, that would save a lot of duress.
please
I
for me.
just to add to this conversation for a second, there was an article in the Times, I want to say last weekend, but it could have been, I don't know. Anyway, and it had to do with the fact that trees and bushes that are actually raised in containers as opposed to raised in the ground for transplanting that they transplant much better, because when you dig them out, you don't destroy any roots.
You're right. Yes.
So I don't know if that's something that we want to.
Well, the problem is, Carolyn, and this is the town, when I worked with the village on their tree planting, the problem
Right.
that occurred was the availability of plant material. And when they
Okay.
went to get it, because it's best to get something that's a bare root system, and it's just for what exactly you said, that you have the full root system. Containers, sometimes the roots circle, so there are sometimes problems with that too. but all they could get was the stuff that they take the machine in and it chops off, 9/10 of the roots, and then they're planting the trees, and then, quite a few of them died over there in Engle Park, which is really, or Nelson Park, I guess it's Nelson Park, which is a shame, but,
Right.
you're
What you-
right.
No matter what we put, no matter what we put on the plans, we got to recognize that these guys are beholden to the nursery stock and
Right,
how they
exactly.
operate.
Yeah.
So, if they're not,
Exactly.
they're not raising their stuff like that, we're not going to get the plants we want locally, or,
Right.
it's just a reality. Even sometimes you spec stuff and the local nurseries don't even have it available. So, that,
Yeah.
especially if it's a
No,
busy season, they get cleaned out of certain.
Or the
plantings.
timing's wrong, so that is definitely a problem. They are moving towards this better practice, but that's, it's a long ways off before it's universal, that's for sure.
I mean, the other thing we could do too is, some communities do it, is that you have standard notes and details in an AutoCAD format. And you just, if they ask, you put it on the website, they can just download it. And then it's exactly what you want.
Yeah, perfect.
Even if it's on an 8.5 by 11, that would be a good idea, because some of these graphics are coming right out of graphic standards, which
Yes.
is not necessarily the newest thing.
No.
And it just
Right, but
keeps
I'm
getting
saying-
reused over and over again. So if we could provide that, maybe even a planting site plan as just a general concept, it might go a long way to shorten the time frame between submission and approval.
Yeah, and it's basically trees, shrubs, and the lawn. I mean, that's the three things that would come across our, in front of us, so.
Okay, great. So Valerie, you'll approach your colleague about doing that?
Sure.
I don't know if we need town board approval or.
Well, let me find out, like, if for some reason, I doubt it's gonna take hours upon hours, but if for some reason he did turn around and say, it's gonna take a week's worth of work, I'm sure it's not, then I will definitely raise it with Dana, and I'll, and I'll let the board know. But I have a feeling there is probably pretty standard language, and it's just making sure that these landscape plans have the most up-to-date of the standard language on their plans.
Great. And so he will run it by Donna, and why don't we distribute it among the board for any of us?
Yeah, I don't think you should send it just to me, but.
Right.
But I certainly will voice an opinion, but he did a great job on the other stuff, so I think he's more than qualified.
Terrific. So we're designing a set of a guidance document on these planting issues, right?
Yeah, the
Right, well, as Dan said, like a standard, so that way it's
Right.
just automatically included in landscape plans.
Great. Okay, good. Is there anything else from the board's consultants, staff? If not, take a motion to adjourn.
So
I'll make
moved.
Second.
Jim, how do you vote?
Yes.
Donna?
Yes.
Carolyn?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well.
And
So have
And
a,
hopefully I get my computer issues straightened out. My MacBook decided that it was updating its operating system, and it had nothing but trouble in the last 3 days.
miserable.
And
Good luck with that, yeah.
It's just been an absolute horror show. Anyway, so I apologize for no video, but
We miss seeing you.
I miss seeing you guys too.
Glad you made it though this way. It works pretty well.
Okay.
And Valerie, I'll send you, can I send an email tomorrow morning? Like first
Yeah,
thing?
no, that's fine. I just, I want to make sure that it's exactly what you're looking for in the resolution.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you all, and be safe in the snow.
Yes.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.